Mark, the last two wins that you guys have had, the team has really demonstrated sort of that understanding of the length of the game. And so we've talked about it all year, but for such a young team to grasp that and be able to hang in there, what are some of the catalyzing forces that allows that to happen?
Well, it's hard to do every night. There's plenty of times where we haven't done it, and the other team's able to, extend leads and stuff like that. I do think that that's a muscle we've been trying to train, not only this season, the nucleus of the team. We've always kind of been a team that's stayed in it, dating back to last year with all the comebacks. We found ourselves down 15 a lot last year, but we kept playing, and I think it's a learned skill, and we're still building it and can't take it for granted, but I do think we've gotten better at it.
How much is your patience as a coach, do you think, impacts that? I mean, in Portland, you hold on to Lou until the second quarter, and you're patient with him. Last night, you wait and have kind of Wiggins come in the fourth quarter without playing before. Like, do you think that the way that you handle those situations can be have a downstream effect on the guys as well?
I, I'm not sure. I mean, the Lou one was unique because he was minute restricted. Wiggins, it wasn't like I went into the game with Wiggins in the pocket, waiting for the fourth quarter. So I think there's patience and impatience. I was impatient yesterday, to be honest with you, with some plays in the first half because I just thought we were giving them too much easy stuff on offensive rebounds, short closeouts to Ross, transition. Against a team that's capable of having the shot making game that they can have, you just can't give up those plays. And so I think we try to, as a staff, exert patience, but there's times to exert impatience as well.
And then with Isaiah, we often talk about his competitiveness, feistiness on defense and scrappy plays and stuff. But it seemed like last night the way that he hunted and then reacted to some of the shots was extremely fiery, extremely competitive. Can a guy be competitive in the way that he hunts shots?
Yeah, I mean, him and Lindy, those guys, they understand the value that they bring to the court, and they understand the gravity that they have. And their best quality, I mean, they obviously can make shots, but their best quality is the way that they space and the way that they move for shots. I mean, they run to space and they put pressure on the defense. And when you've got that, and then you've got, head of the snake creators that can make plays in the lane and around the basket, that's how you get the defense into dilemmas. And so it's not only the plays where they hunt it and find it and score, but it's the ones where they hunt it and we don't necessarily even throw it to them, but their gravity is creating something for the rest of the team.
We were just talking to Jay Will, and he was mentioning just how much fun this group is to be around and how much they all get along. And Shay mentioned after the game yesterday that it's like being around a bunch of high school kids. Like they all just get along so well. What's it like for you, just kind of seeing the chemistry of this group in particular and how it's grown this season?
I mean, they've built it. I think it shows the power in, number one, having a lot of guys that are kind of in similar phases of their career. Because they're all kind of growing together, and it shows the continuity, the power of continuity, because we've had a nucleus of guys that's grown outward over the last 4 years really, and I think that's got something to do with it too. It doesn't feel like kind of pasted together, but I'm happy they enjoy each other. I'm happy they enjoy competing together, and it's them. That's the locker room. You can't create that on our end of things. Like, you can't just make a team have that, and so we're fortunate that we have it and grateful, and the guys are doing a great job with it, obviously.
And obviously about to head out on a long road trip, 4 games, 4 tough games. Just, is there anything in particular you're looking forward to seeing from this group in this particular test?
Yeah, I mean, not getting distracted by anything other than just keeping our head down and stacking possessions in the games and then improving game to game. Stuff from the Phoenix game that's relative to the Clippers that we tried to cover today that we need to improve on. And then when we go out there and compete, just get lost in the moment and lost in the possession and trust that that'll stack up, and then rinse and repeat.
I know we've talked about Shay's 3-point attempts a lot throughout the season, but last night he scores 40 without even attempting a three.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an anomaly in the modern day NBA, especially for a guard. Just what's it like to have that guy as the leader of your team and sort of just plays in a style that is really not.
I mean, all the great players are an anomaly when you think about it. Booker's an anomaly. The shots he's making and the sharpness with which he moves. and how economical he is as a player. He's an anomaly, and Shay's an anomaly. 19 free throws anomaly. Somebody that lives in the lane as much as him, anomaly. And so I think that's what makes you think about the great players. Giannis, Curry, Durant. I mean, they're all one of one, and that's what makes them great. That's why they're so good.
You probably obviously want to stop everybody that you play, but do you have a philosophy on trying to slow down the opposing team's best player more and making other guys beat you, or vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, there's a threshold to that. We could triple team Devin Booker, but if you triple team Devin Booker, you only have two other defenders. So it's like there's a cost benefit equation. And we believe in the benefit of our base system outweighing the cost on a lot of nights. And then there's players that on a given night can pull you out of that. And Booker did last night. I mean, we started double teaming him, beat before half court in the fourth quarter. And we'll go to that when we need to. But if you show them that in the first quarter, like that's too good of a team. And we think you're better off taking your chances with contested Devin Booker shots than giving them 48 minutes of something that extreme. But going to it late when he's got it going is something that, we're prepared to do.
And then last night it seemed like you guys played more drop in the first half than you did in the second half. Was that by design or just because of the way they were playing?
No, it's base system. That's our base. That's the fastball we start throwing, early in the game. And we see how we're getting attacked and we see how effective the attacks are. And if the costs outweigh the benefits with drop, then we'll adjust. And that's what we had to do last night. And we'll have to do it, a bunch of other times. But, that's where we start. And we kind of make you hit our fastball before we start throwing different stuff.
And then you mentioned how you don't like getting technicals. When you do get them, is that just a built-up frustration, just trying to send a message to the ref or the players, or none of the above?
It's very little built-up frustration. Like, I didn't get any my first 2 years. So, like, I'm definitely choosing when to, unleash whatever it is. But sometimes I'm prioritizing getting my point across at the expense of a technical above not. And if I get them, I get them. I think fairness and consistency, we need those things from the league and from the refs. And if we don't think we're getting them, then I think it's my job to point that out.
Coach, Sam has talked before about, kind of not having expectations, but letting a team declare themselves. At this point in the year, what has this team declared to you?
Just a level of competitiveness. They're going to compete. They're going to compete together. And they're going to come in every day with a head-down approach, attack the program, focus on improvement. They've maintained a very high level of professionalism, which, you can't take for granted. You can't get lost in the season and take your foot off the gas with that sort of stuff. All that stuff scales far past, this road trip. And so we still have our eggs in those baskets.
Mark, totally unrelated. Just wanted to ask you about NCAA tournament. UConn's in the Sweet 16. Do you have any go-to stories, or I know you're part of the national championship team your freshman year, but like
that's a loose definition.
I'm giving you some credit here. You had a role on that team. Any go-to like tournament memories stand out?
I mean, I was there. We went to the Elite Eight, lost to George Mason. That was like George Mason went to the Final Four one year. We had the number one team in the country. We were really good. George Mason beat us to go to the Final Four. And I just remember, I was like, what a wacky tournament, because we played him in D.C., and George Mason's in D.C. Mm-hmm. And it's like those neutral sites are so weird, because if you're the favorite and you're going against an underdog, like I've been with a couple teams, Florida, we were the 1 seed one year, and UConn, we were a high seed. It's like the neutral fans root for the upset. So you're like the 1 seed, but if you're in like Omaha, like you end up playing on the road, if the other team gets a little juice. And the George Mason game was like that. It's Elite Eight, and we're better. We're the number one team in the country, but it's in DC, and they already had kind of the Cinderella thing going, and it was like a road game. It's like a true road game in the Elite Eight. It was crazy. Those are just wacky dynamics.
It was Jim Larinaga, right?
Yeah.
He's in the tournament still, right?
Yeah, great coach.
Yeah.
Great kids. Teams are always like better than they should be.
Thank you,
Coach.
Oh, did somebody have one more?
Can I say?
Last one.
Okay, what's the Poku's status in terms of his readiness to join in the team?
Well, I mean, he's going to play with the Blue in their next game, and the Blue season ends Thursday. So, 2 + 2 = 4. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's anxious. You want to get out on the court. You're ready to explode off your feet. What are you feeling in those moments?
Excitement. I feel like the whole team, we're so locked in. We're tight as a team. We want to see each other succeed. We want to succeed as a team. So when we're going through games like that, tough games where we're fighting throughout the whole game, it's a fun game.
When is the ideal time for you to scream out the boom on your way back down court? Do you want to be like before you get to half court? You really extend it sometimes, like when you get right to mid court. What's your goal?
I don't know. Sometimes I think in my head, like before the game, I'm not going to say it this game. It didn't just happens, but my teammates, they yell it out. And when I see them looking at me yelling out, then I feel like I got to say it too. So it's a fun thing.
And then I want to ask you about Isaiah. We've talked about him as like a competitor, and a lot of times people talk about competitors, it's like, oh, they're doing gritty defensive things. But is there a way, in the way that he punts shots and the way that he can, kind of hit a 3 that feels like a 4, is there competitive nature to the way that he finds opportunities to get looks too?
Yeah, for sure. Zay works. He works for his shots. He works on defense too. For a guy his size, he plays really good defense. And on offensive end, he sets screens. He runs through the paint to get to the other side. He does a lot of things to get his shots. And when we know we have a great shooter like that on the team, we look for him.
After the game, it seemed like half of y'all were in that post-game interview with Nick. And you could see how much this group enjoys being about each other. Just what's it like being in the locker room with this group?
Yeah, we're a tight, connected team. Everybody wants to see each other succeed. We all have dogs. Like, we'll all go over to each other's house, bring our dogs over there, do things like that. So we're a super connected team on and off the court. Regardless of what's happening on the court, we're still cool with each other.
But what has that meant to you, just as a rookie coming in here, experiencing in the NBA for the first time, being a part of a group that seems to get along so well?
It's awesome. It's not that big of a difference from college. Honestly, I thought it was going to be way different, but we have a young team and everybody's super close. These guys, nobody has an ego, nobody has anything like that. We want to see each other succeed and we have fun. We talk to each other on the plane. We talk to each other when we leave here, everything. So it's all good and fun.
Y'all's dogs all get along. A bunch of doggy play dates.
So my dog and Dove's dog was the first time they met each other and they were going at each other a little bit, but after a while they were good.
Who else is in that group?
Of dogs?
Yeah.
That day it was just me, Shay, and Dove, our dog. Yeah.
You got to feel good about where your Razorbacks are, right?
Yeah, we're big. We got to keep going.
Match up with UConn, that's Mark's alma mater. Any trash talk gonna happen?
Nah, I'm watching. I want my guys to win. I want them to win it all.
Yeah, that's cool.